often preoccupied with fantasies. They have a sense of superiority, arrogance, and they have a tendency to exploit others. Hey guys, welcome back to Men Plus 40. So today we're going to be talking about narcissism. Now, if you look around online, you've seen a lot of people, you'll maybe hear in these conversations, the word narcissist has been popularized over the last few years. So you've got people going, you're a narcissist, no, you're a narcissist, no, you're a narcissist. And the problem you got is most of these people do not understand the characteristics of what they are. So in this episode, what I want to do is I want to give you an overview of the cluster B spectrum. The cluster B spectrum refers to a group of personality disorders and that are categorized by patterns of dramatic, emotional and erratic behavior. The key criteria for each of these disorders are outlined in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, which is basically the DSM-5, which is what clinicians use to make these diagnoses. So let's start with narcissistic personality disorder. So people with NPD have an exaggerated sense of their own importance. They have a need and a hunger for admiration, a lack of empathy. They tend to have a lot of envy of others. They also have a sense of entitlement, often preoccupied with fantasies. They have a sense of superiority, arrogance, and they have a tendency to exploit others. Now, in order to receive a diagnosis of NPD, a person must have at least 5 of these traits as per the DSM. So let's move on to borderline personality disorder. So people with BPD may engage in reckless, impulsive behavior. So they experience extreme mood swings and they have difficulty regulating their own emotions. They tend to have unstable relationships and feel a sense of emptiness. Often these people will engage in self-harm or self-deleting thoughts and behaviours. They often experience intense feelings of anger, anxiety or depression when they feel abandoned or rejected. These people tend to have a distorted sense of self-identity and they also have difficulty setting and achieving goals over the long term. And quite often, and very often actually, is they have difficulty forming and maintaining relationships with others. Again, in order to receive the diagnosis, a person must have 5 of these traits. Now, the third of the 4 is histrionic personality disorder. People with HPD may be overdramatic, attention-seeking and emotional, and they may have a need for approval. These people tend to be overly sensitive to criticism and may have difficulty recognizing the boundaries of personal relationships. Again, this is going to require 5 of the traits. Now, the 4th one, and in most cases the most dangerous, is antisocial personality disorder. Often people use the words psychopathy, but as per the DSM, it's antisocial personality disorder. So people with ASPD may have a pattern of disregarding the rights of others, engage in criminal behaviour, manipulate or deceive others, and have a lack of remorse for their actions. So with these, they need to have at least 3 of the traits. Again, going back to my point, with antisocial personality disorder, they tend to be the most dangerous and destructive. But we haven't got into the process of having 2 of these disorders. So for instance, the person could have narcissistic personality disorder and they can have borderline personality disorder. You could have a malignant narcissist which has psychopathic traits. So these can be comorbid together. And there's also, if you check out the works of Sam Vaknin, he will talk about people with borderline personality disorder is when they're splitting, they would then move into the process of secondary psychopathy. So again, the reason I'm saying this, because this is equally to men and women to being on the cluster B spectrum. Now, it used to be known that men would be more MPDs and then women will be BPDs. But over the years, the diagnoses have changed and the patterns have changed there. And what you find now is there's going to be men out there that are going to be borderline, and there are going to be women, more women being narcissists. And sometimes when they have been diagnosed in the past, they could be misdiagnosed, or they are comorbid with one of the other cluster Bs. So the key thing for you and for anyone, man or woman, you want to be in healthy relationships. By understanding some of these traits, you don't have to necessarily swallow the DSM, but a good inclination of this is how another person makes you feel and how their behaviours affect you. So even if you didn't know most of these traits, or this is new to you, using self-trust and your gut and your instinct is going to be a good way of preventing these things in terms of unfolding. No one wants to be in these kind of relationships. They're going to be highly destructive for man or woman, and they're always going to be based around a short term, and it's difficult for people to recover from these kind of behaviors. But what I will say is, if you are attracting these kind of people, you've got to look at yourself to understand why, because they're obviously spotting traits in you. So by increasing your self-awareness and improving on your boundaries, not all cases, but in many cases, you will repel people like this because you'll be a tougher target. Now, narcissists will still go after strong people who have a healthy sense of self, but then it's going to come down to the individual's boundaries. So the goal is always healthy relationships, healthy communications, but understanding some of these as red flags, you can take yourself out the equation. Good luck.